a mound, and at its center is Chokoshimon, and that's a replica of the gateway of the Imperial Messenger in Kyoto. Beautifully constructed wooden gateway there, intricately carved, and it came to Kew after it was constructed for the 1910 Japan-British exhibition in
Ganda
London.
rin doon, ano?
Those
Yung
boulders
taas na yun.
represent the islands and mountains of
Japanese
Japan.
doon.
Now we're just crossing Holly Walk on the right. This path here, it's 1 kilometre in length and is the largest, most comprehensive collection of mature hollies in cultivation on that path.
Huli na.
But it's also an important historical feature because it used to be called Love Lane, and it was the main public right-of-way from Richmond to Brentford Ferry. And Love Lane was a path that separated the two royal estates, that's the Kew Gardens of Princess Augusta, and Richmond Park. And George III then merged the two estates into one in 1772, and that formed the blueprint for the gardens as you see them today. You'll notice we're now seeing an increasing number of trees on both sides of the train. And Kew is, of course, one large arboretum, which in Latin simply means the place of trees, and we're now entering its main part. Around 14,000 trees are rooted here, and they represent more than 2,000 species, including rare and ancient varieties, some which are as old as the gardens themselves and can't be found anywhere else in Britain. And if you look at these trees, you'll see most of them, the majority of them, have got black badges on. And first thing you see on there is the name of the genus, the family of the tree, and then underneath it pinpoints the exact species. Kew is also home to 317 champion trees, and they're the largest and best examples of their species in the country. And these champion trees are labelled with blue badges. So as we drive along, keep a lookout, see how many blue badge trees you can spot. And tree conservation is one of our key priorities here. The Global Tree Seed Bank project, of which Kew is a partner, aims to secure the seeds of at least 3,000 tree species from across the world in safe, long-term storage. A sort of tree insurance policy for those trees which are threatened and very rare. So we're now entering our magnificent redwood grove, and you will see mainly on your right a towering mix of coastal and giant redwoods thriving in our gardens. And our tallest tree in the whole of Kew Gardens is a coastal redwood, and at 40 metres tall it's as high as a 13-storey building. Now the cab is just about to cross a circle paved brick area. We're doing that now, so if you look down when you cross over it, that represents the width of an average giant redwood in North America. And if I'm pointing out now that first tree behind the rope there, that's the tallest tree I just mentioned, the 40-metre high coastal redwood.
40 meter high.
And redwoods are magnificent trees, colossal in size and longevity. The tallest known tree in the world is a coastal redwood. It's in North America. It's 3 times the height of the one you've just seen. And our redwoods were planted around 140 years ago, whereby in the Sequoia National Park in California, you have redwoods dating back 2,500 to 3,000 years now. Standing close to our redwoods is Kew's 40-acre collection of pine trees and conifers, and we're travelling through that now. And this is a place to be in the winter months when the rest of Kew is looking slightly stark and bare, with the deciduous trees having lost their leaves. This is the place to be. We have all sorts, Douglas fir, spruce, cypress. And there's our smallest pond on the right. That's a water lily pond. Ideal place for nesting of our geese and our ducks. Can't see any moorhens or coots today, but they'll be there in the area. And just if you glance to the right of the train, you'll see a tree growing at a 45-degree angle, wonky tree there. That's a Corsican pine, nicknamed maritime pine, because its timber would be used for the ship's masts in the days of the sailing ships, the clippers and the schooners. And then glance to the left, and you'll see that wooden fence running alongside. Behind that fence is our natural area. 37 acres of woodland, meadow, a small wetland. There's a raised path, beautiful path to take, which weaves its way through. And it's very different from the rest of Kew, which is more cultivated and landscaped. But it's a lovely place to be at any season. In spring, in a week or two's time, there'll be carpets of bluebells, wild garlic. Now we're just about to cross now a dirt track on the left. And at the end of that track, there's a gap in the fence, and that's the entrance to our log trail. And that's a fabulous outdoor adventure playground. It's been fashioned from the trees which have been blown down in storms and carved into wonderful weird shapes. You've got a mushroom there, you've got animals. It really is a great outdoor facilities, and it takes you quite a way into the natural area. And it's the only place in the whole of Kew Gardens where you're actually allowed to climb trees. So we're pulling in now for the log trail, the natural area, Sion Outlook and the River Thames ahead of us at stop number 4.
Stop number 4. Okay.
Quest with the removal of non-native trees and shrubs. There's limited mowing going on, and the introduction of sustainable forestry, such as coppicing, protection of small wetland. And as you can see, it is in a wild, romantic stage. You'll see very few gardeners in there. We just let it get on with it as much as we can. To the left there, behind the fence, is something quite rare now in London, and that's an acid field. Soil is quite low in nutrients, and there are ant colonies take it over. They aerate the soil, irrigate it, small grasses and herbs grow. Just glance to your right as we take the sharp corner, and there's another of our follies, designed to look imposing in the Greek or Roman style, really of no practical purpose, but they useful in the rain or to eat your sandwiches. The Great Pagoda is in fact a folly. It's made of brick, but most of them here are made of wood, so they have to be maintained. We have around 9 left now. So we're about to emerge onto Sion Outlook, and the River Thames is on our left, at quite low tide today at the moment. And if you glance to the left, on the other side of the Thames, you'll see a very grand and imposing house. Yes, see if you can see the fox just climbing up that hill now ahead of us. Can you see it on the right of the train? It's in good condition because we have one which has a limp. It's just gone behind the bench there. Just keep your eyes out for the fox. It's after food. But there is Sion House on our left, owned by the Duke of Northumberland. The flag's out, it means he's there. Glance back into the gardens, and there is the palm house at the end of that lovely avenue of European oaks. That's Sion Vista. And along with Cedar Vista and the Great Pagoda Vista, they form a monumental triangle of avenues throughout the Arboretum. They're 19th century features, and they're protected by an Act of Parliament which forbids Kew from altering their outlook in any way whatsoever. Now, we've just entered our oak collection as we travel through the Arboretum, and we have oaks from all over the world here. And if you peer at those black badges, you'll see the word quercus, which in Latin means oak. So just to check that it is an oak, because some of them do look very, very different to the traditional oaks that we know. In this part of the gardens, we have over 1,000 specimens of English oak. But as you will have gathered, we absolutely adore trees here at Kew. Not just for their beauty, but for the many incredible benefits to our city environments and ecosystems. They capture pollutants, clean the air, cool our cities by lowering temperatures through shade, and they capture and store carbon. So the bigger the tree, the more effective it is. So we're just going to be turning a left here at the fork in the road. If we'd gone straight on, we'd have gone deep down into Rhododendron Dell. But as it is, we're going to be running parallel with Rhododendron Dell and the Thames on the left. Now the Dell looks, it's not a natural valley. You can see the land as we approach there on the right. It's very steep drop. It's actually been carved out and created by Capability Brown, the famous English landscape architect. And he designed what he called the Hollow Walk here in 1773. It later became known as the Rhododendron Dell when our second director, Sir Joseph Hooker, made many expeditions to the Himalayas in the 1850s. And he came back with over 700 specimens which he planted here. And we've got some unique hybrids here. Now, actually, if you just turn left, Peter is pointing out, have a look left, there is one of our champion trees. It's the blue-badged American willow oak. So that's the largest and best examples of that species in the UK.
You can see the choo-choo. You can see the driver.
Just if you look to the right, again, in the dell, there we are, you'll see the thatched roof of our Minka house. And Minka means houses of the people, and that is an authentic Minka house which was lived in Japan up until 1993 by the Yonesi family. It then was donated to